In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the show. It's Untethered Live on a Sunday night. I'm your host, Jake Johnson. Tonight is Bible study night. How are you doing out there? We're in the great book of Genesis, chapter... something. Yeah, I can't remember. Chapter 9, something. Where are we at? 9:3. Chapter 9, verse 3. That's where we are. Happy Super Bowl. Super Bowl happens today. Go over to TPUSA and tune in to Kid Rock's halftime special, if you would. They need all the support they can get over there because Super Bowl is, not going to be Super Bowl very much longer if we don't do something. So go join TPUSA and see what they got going on. And who's first in chat? Cowboys 8 panel. Hello, darling. Welcome to the show. You get the gold star for being first in chat tonight. Been a while since you had one of those, huh? Amanda says, hi, Untethered Live family. Good to see you all. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Hi, Jake. How are you tonight? Fantastic. Ready for that Super Bowl halftime. Ready to hear Kid Rock tear it down. See what happens. I don't even like Super Bowl. I don't know about anything about football. But I like the commercials, and I like halftime up until recently. Thank God somebody had enough sense to give us another option this year. So that's what we're going to do. After the show, we're going to watch the halftime and see what happens. See what kind of turnout. So far, 956,000, something like that, are watching TPUSA, and 600 and something thousand is watching Super Bowl, from what I can see so far. But the night is young, and it remains to be seen. I want to see the crowd sizes. I want to see if America votes with its wallet like I think it will. Linda Davis is here. She says, happy Sunday, smiley face. Hi, Linda. And Cowboys, how are you guys doing? Ladies, nice to see you. Amanda says, here's your gold star, Cowboy. Enjoy. Put that in your Super Bowl sock and stick it on the mantelpiece. Amanda says, hi, Cowboys, hamburger helper hand, and Linda, hamburger helper hand. What do you guys got going on tonight? I imagine it's going to be a slow night tonight because everybody's watching the Super Bowl, and the Bible don't compete with Super Bowl. So, it's America, USA. God loves you anyway. But thank you for being here if you're here. Thank you for joining in. We're going to have a good read tonight. It'll only be mildly interfered with by Super Bowl goings-ons and people's opinions and things like that. But other than that, it'll be pretty much standard old Sunday night Bible study. We had a good, long politics last night. Went till midnight again. Had to cut it off at the knees. Had a great conversation. Got some stuff out of the way early on in the night. It was good. What about you guys? Did you guys have fun? Don't everybody talk at once now. It's okay. I can carry a show. So what I'm thinking is going to happen, I don't know where they're doing this thing with TPUSA. I don't know what venue they have. But I'm imagining it's going to be packed. And I'm imagining it's going to overdo the Super Bowl. That's what I assume is going to happen. Kevin Bernard's here. Hey, Kevin. Nice to see you, brother. He says, hello, Jake, Amanda, Cowboy, and Linda. Are you all hyped up for halftime? Cowboy says, I hung out with my good buddy. Who's that? Who's your good buddy? And it's good to hang out with a good buddy. Amanda says, Kevin, 𝕰𝕚𝕚𝕚𝕚𝕚. And Linda says, it's a quiet night here. Most everyone is out watching the game. I know, right? I imagine that's the way it's going to be here, too.
You missed my comment, 807.
807. Oh, I missed one? Sorry. We always have fun, says Amanda. Who was we? Me and you? Everybody. Oh, you mean the show last night? I got it. Yeah. Yeah, we always have fun. Linda says, hi, Kevin. How was your day? Debbie's here. She says, 𝕰𝕚𝕚𝕚𝕚. Amanda, is Becky here? Becky's busy. Hi, Debbie. How are you? Oh, my God. Look at Becky's butt. It's so big. Wasn't that a song? I like big butts and I cannot lie. I'm pretty sure that's the song. Amanda says, Debbie 𝕰𝕚𝕚𝕚𝕚. And Amanda says, I identify as Becky sometimes. Sometimes. The throat goat. Becky the throat goat. Easy, ladies. Kevin says, Linda went to Atlantic City today. Yeah, how did that go? I was going to ask about that. I wasn't sure if you went already or not. And Linda says, 𝕰𝕚𝕚𝕚𝕚𝕚, Debbie. And Kevin says, who's Becky? Oh, Becky. Somebody needs to send Kevin Becky's phone number or the meme. Becky's a friend of ours. I think it's all of us every now and then. All of the ladies, anyway. Amanda says, I'll send it to Kevin. Okay, good deal. And remember, it's Bible study night, so let's not really think about that too hard. Kevin says, I pretty much broke even after 7 hours. Oof. Well, there's a reason they say the house always wins. But at least you had fun, right? I hope you wasn't like a sweaty, gambly mess, drunken on bourbon and freaking out and trying to hawk your title to your house or anything. Getting your knees busted in by the Gambinos that loaned you $100,000 already. As long as it ain't like that, I'm pretty sure you had a good time. I've never been to a place like that before, Atlantic City. I don't think I've ever been to a real casino before. I've been to like the ones in Florida, you know, it's got a back room with Keno games set up, something like that, but not like a real casino, like the kind you see in the movies. That's right. As long as it didn't cost me everything, I'm happy. Cost me anything, I'm happy. Well, if it didn't cost you anything, you're doing really good. If I went to a place like that, I'd leave owing them money, I'm pretty sure. Because I am not a winner. I lose everything. I've never won a bet in my life, I don't think. I was not made for gambling or sports betting. The funny thing is, though, is if I keep my mouth shut, I'm right about 90% of the time. But if I say anything, it'll go the opposite direction. I jinx myself. Amanda says, I don't like casinos. I can't see feeding them machines all that money. I just value money more, I guess. Well, you know, the whole idea is the premise that you might end up with more money. I think that's the draw. That's the thing people want when they go to a casino, is more money. And I don't know what you can do to avoid that, because the house always wins. And Linda says, that's a good day, Kevin. Even if you didn't win big, you didn't win on having a good time. You did win on having a good time, right on. You didn't lose a lot. So if it didn't cost you anything, you did good. And if you had fun doing it, even better. Kevin says, Linda, exactly. Well, I had a good winning day because I got a nice hot cup of coffee and a good meal out of it. We had pork chops and 7-bean soup and rice and tomatoes and dinner rolls. It was delicious. I think that's it. Might have been something else. I can't remember. But this hot cup of coffee did the trick. Icing on the cake. Thank you for the person that provides the coffee for the show. It's a nice regular cup of joe, don't you know? Don't you want to have a cup with me? If so, go to the kitchen, pour yourself up a nice hot cup, and let's get to talking. If you don't have a cup, though, you can get one in the description below. I recommend the first one. It has my face on it. It is fantastic. But also, we have stainless steel tumblers down there, big ones and little ones. They got the Untethered Live Bible Study logo on the front and all the platforms on the back. They got locking lids, and they keep your coffee hot for hours. So get one while you can, or a hat, or a T-shirt, or whatever you want to do over there. Also, like, subscribe, share, support, join. Super chats are available in the chat box if you want to show a little love. If you want to, you can do that at paypal.me/jakejohnsonband or CashApp $JakeJohnsonBand, and I appreciate that. One last thing, if you'd like to hang out with us outside of the YouTubeverse, go over to facebook.com/UntetheredLive chillin'. The link is in the chat. It's a great place to hang out, share pictures, text, videos, and memes, and get to know one another. There is a private group chat over there for just members of the show. It's not all of Facebook. It's just us. So you can talk and share reasonably sensitive information over there, and it'll be relatively safe. So go check that out. It's also updated regularly with videos that are adjacent to or concerning the things we talk about over here. So it's entertaining. It's free. It's fun. It's interactive. It's yours. Might as well go check it out. The link is in the chat, and I'll see you there. And now, on with the show. Cowboy says, it's fun spending a little time. It's fun spending a little bit, even to lose. Right. I understand that. Yeah, give you a chance to feel like you're living a little. Yeah. It hurts me to spend money, though, so I try to stay away from things like that. Amanda says, you're welcome for the coffee. Thank you. Thank you very much. Won't be long. I'll need more. Kevin says, my internet's acting up tonight. Well, it's your turn. Mine was acting up last night. So, congratulations. I'm thinking there must be a lot of people on the internet tonight. I'm thinking you're probably right. I'm guessing that's probably what it is. Because I imagine everybody's trying to watch the football game or TPUSA. Amanda says, oh no, Kevin. Oh, definitely, Kevin. And Linda says, mine is lagging too, Kevin. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, guys. For once, mine is seeming to be excellent. It says it is anyway. Yep, excellent. Ordinarily, it's lagging and just good or poor. We'll get by, though. Kevin says, and I forgot live chat again. Oh, no. I need to just put that on the wall. Click live chat up here where the cross is. We'll get it together, though. It'll be all right. Linda says, my kids have a 2-hour delay tomorrow for school. It will be in your negative double digits in the morning. Oh, Jesus. Does that mean it's going to get really cold here tonight, too? I better double up on the layers when I go into work in the morning, just to be on the safe side. Well, make sure that they're wrapped up good when you send them out, because it gets that cold. That's dangerous territory. I'm sure y'all are used to it, but still. I'll be glad when this winter stuff is over with. Needs to warm up. I'm going to get out in my yard and do some grass cutting and stuff. Dakota's here. Hi, Dakota. Dakota says, hi, friends. Heart. Hey, Dakota. Nice to see you. Amanda says, 18 is the low tonight, Jake. Well, that's cold. Yep. That is cold. Amanda says, hamburger upper hand, Dakota. Kevin says, 13 here. Whew. Good gracious. I wonder if it's going to snow again. I hope not. Last time it snowed, it put me out of business for 2 days. I don't need no more of that. Kevin says, hello, Dakota. And Amanda says, 40 high tomorrow. I can live with 40. Linda says, they say it will get into the 30s by the end of the week. Well, that's good. Maybe it'll be on an upwards trend and it'll keep getting warmer as it goes from there. I don't know. Dakota says, hi, Linda. And Linda says, Dakota, hamburger upper hand. That's Untethered Live for hello. We got a great Bible study to get into tonight. We're still in the book of Genesis, chapter 9, verse 3. So get your Bibles out and flip to it and let's get going. It's pretty easy. It's in the first couple of pages. The last one was kind of intense. Let's see how this one goes. I think most of Genesis is pretty intense. Gets a little monotonous around the begats, though. We get to the begats, I'm probably going to jump over them. I haven't decided yet. There's really not a lot of point in running down all the bloodlines other than to show you who people are. And really, you only get those questions when you get further down into the Bible and you find out who the people are and you want to know where they came from. Then you can look back and see where they came from in the bloodlines. But other than that, from Genesis forward, there really ain't a lot of point in running down each lead. Same thing with all of the land allotments later on, like in Leviticus. There really ain't no point in knowing all that unless you care to know about particular things like how did Judas end up purchasing a field and committing suicide at the same time, and why it's called the Potter's Field. That's a good question. It's a good question because it's been used as an example of how it may not have happened, and yet it's proof that it did because Potter's Field is there today. You can go and find it. You see where it's at. Although the atmosphere around that area, the area has changed a lot, it's still the same spot. And Judas did, in fact, kill himself on that spot. But the money, it wasn't Judas who bought the field, by the way. It was the church. Because Judas returned the 30 pieces of silver that he betrayed Christ for because he felt guilty when he realized what had happened. When he realized it wasn't going to work the way he thought it was going to work, he gave the money back. He didn't want it. He was ashamed. Well, the church, being the upstanding citizens that they are, wouldn't take blood money. So instead, they bought a field with it and used it to bury the dead and other things. And it was a field that belonged to a pot maker. And it presently, at that time, had a bunch of broken shards of pots and stuff all over the place. That's why they call it the Potter's Field. Interesting little tidbit. But if you know, you know. And that's how you can prove the Bible, little details. The devil, as it were, is in the details. And the Bible's full of them. Kevin says, at this point, anything above freezing is a good day. Amen, brother. Yeah, it's a cold week last week. And Linda says, true, Kev. Absolutely true. I'll be glad when this heating bill stuff is over with. Is it like that everywhere? Do they prorate your electricity when it gets cold? Because I feel like I'm paying for 2 houses. I keep a pretty tight record of what I pay because I prepay my electric bill, which means I pay for it before I use it in chunks. And so I pretty much know how long I can use electricity based on a certain amount of money. So normally it costs about $4 or $5 a day to run this house. feel like it's costing like $16 or $18 a day to run it during the winter. And that don't seem right to me because I'm not doing anything different. Is that weird or is it just me? Linda says, it's 5 degrees here now. 5 degrees? Good gracious. Kevin says it was 5 when I woke up this morning. That's cold. I would not want to be out in that. I do not envy you guys living up there in the north where it gets so cold. I don't know why y'all want to live there. I wouldn't. And be like, get me closer to the equator. It's like living in Minnesota where it snows about half the year. It seems like it anyway. I went one time, the only time I've ever been up far north. I went to Minot, North Dakota for 2 weeks to play at a club there. We were booked to go up there. And so it was in December, and I went up there, and we stayed in a band house for 2 weeks and did shows at this one establishment. And I've never been that cold in my life that I was those 2 weeks. I don't know how people survive that. And I saw people walking around with no shirt on at night in the same place I was bundled up with 7 layers of clothes and freezing to death. Indian guy walked by not wearing a shirt. I don't know if they're on something or if they're just accustomed to it in a way that I couldn't imagine, but good gracious. Kevin says, I think the states are trying to push everybody to solar. It's possible. It's possible. It feels like they're gouging me, for sure. Debbie says, my last electric bill was $430. Good gracious. And for this time of year, it's usually about $350 a month. Yeah, it does feel like it's going up, doesn't it? I can't prove it because I don't really lay it all out and look at it exactly day by day. But it feels like I'm paying more than normal. Kevin says, I think they want the electric bill so high that you will have no choice. Because solar is not cheap enough on its own to be worth it, right? It also isn't sustainable. The problem with solar is by the time you get it built and have it installed, it costs a certain amount of money, and then it'll last about 5 years, and you got to have it replaced because it wears out, sun beat, and it gets dull, and it doesn't produce as much electricity as it once did. So in the long run, it's just as easy to pay the electric bill. It's just not sustainable. And you got to be in a prime location with no trees. If you have any trees, it messes with the production. If there's a lot of dust in the area, like if you live next to a field, you'd constantly have to be cleaning them things off or they wouldn't work. Just ain't worth it. Wind power ain't much better. It costs more to make than it does benefit you. But I guess if you were in a position where you had unlimited sources of money and you could get it all done and then start living off of it, I guess if it didn't matter, if money was no object, it would be cheaper. But to get it all done, it's kind of crazy. And because solar's not, I read that one. Kevin says, now ask yourself, who benefits from solar? China. Who makes them solar panels? That's right. We don't make them here. I'm not sure you can buy them here. I think you got to order them. But that's absolutely right. And them wind farms, I think that's a publicity stunt. I don't think they've ever worked because they stay broke down about half the time. Texas like they froze to death because they switched over to wind a couple of years back. And then they had that hard freeze, and all the machines froze up. Everybody was without heat forever. It's not good. You got to have electricity. And the best way to do that has always been, well, actually, it's nuclear, but people are scared of nuclear because of the movies and because it's rightfully dangerous if not handled properly. But coal, that's the way to do it. It's sustainable, it's renewable, you can go get more of it, and it's easy to do, and it's within the price range. So it's always going to be coal unless they can outdo the numbers. Solar panels down the last 20 years, they were supposed to last, right, Kevin? That's absolutely right. They don't last very long. I think the average life is 12 years. It might be 12 years, yeah. I know it ain't 20, and that's what I was trying to think of. When you put a new roof on, you think, well, this will be 20 years, right? That's kind of how I'm looking at it. But no, solar panels, you're going to have them replaced soon. Maybe 20, maybe 12 years, 10 years. But if I buy them things and have my whole house altered to operate off of these things, I want them to last 20 years, regardless of the price. And until they can do that, it really ain't worth doing, in my opinion. And I live in a bunch of trees, so I wouldn't be able to use it anyway half the time. Maybe an hour a day, I'd get good light. Or I suppose I could cut down all my trees and, that would be bad for the environment. Trees produce oxygen. And they help scrub CO2. You ever wonder, could it be that we're having rises in CO2 levels because we're cutting down so many trees? But if you go to like the rainforest, you'll find out they're thriving because they eat CO2 and they like it. So yeah, CO2 has went up, but the trees are enjoying it, so. Linda says, Debbie, do you have electric heat? I know I do. It normally don't stay cold long enough here to have gas heat, so we just use electric heaters. But this year it's been cold longer, I think, than it was last year. And I have a gas heater and a gas tank. I just don't bother to fill it. There's no point in paying another bill, Linda, you use coal, don't you? Or was it kerosene? Some other thing. Kevin says they are also a hazard to the fire department. They continue to produce electricity as long as they are in sunlight. Yes. I would imagine that could be dangerous if not properly handled. And Debbie says, yes, Linda, my house is total electric. I have a heat pump central unit. Linda says, I have coal and propane and oil. That's what it is, coal and propane. And oil. Okay. I bet that smells lovely. Kevin says, now picture trying to put out a house fire that you can't cut the electricity to, right? Imagine trying to run through the house and save people with electrical wires hanging all over the place. And they're freshly burnt out of the walls and ceilings, and they're bare. So you don't even have to worry about it. You just touch them and not good. All right. It is 8:32, so let's get after it, shall we? Let me mark my chat here. All right. And let's go down. If you got your Bibles handy, crack them open to Genesis 9:3. And it reads, every morning thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you. Even as the green herb have I given you all things. This is God telling Noah after he's left the ark. I think that's where we're at. Or the garden. Either way, he's telling people, eat of everything. Everything that lives shall be meat for you. This has got to be after the ark. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat. So this is the rule, the first rule in the Bible about blood. The life is in the blood. You don't eat the blood. That's why it's traditional to hang up an animal, slit its throat, and let it bleed out. Because you don't want to consume the blood. And we still have that ritual to this very day from the beginning of time. So it's an important rule. And surely your blood of your lives will I require. If you eat the blood of someone else's, God will require yours. See, that's how that works. Think about cannibals. At the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. There you go, there's that one. So what is he saying here? This is back in the early times. Things have changed over the years as far as God's focus on this particular thing. But back in the beginning, he was pretty adamant about it. You don't shed blood. The life is in the blood. That's the important substance in the world is the blood. That's the thing God made that produces life. And the spirit comes from the breath of life, which enters in through the nostrils. Alfred, hang on. We'll get to a question and answer as soon as I finish the read, and I will answer your question. Chapter 9, verse 7. And you, be fruitful and multiply. Bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. Have lots of sex. Make lots of babies. Fill up the earth. You need to. The world's been destroyed. Remember that. So there's 7 people of the Adamic bloodline. And that's the man that he's talking about is the bloodline from Adam. Remember the last page? In the image of God made he man. That word is Adam. That is the Adam that was in the Garden of Eden. There are also all of the other races already there and also on the ark. So they're all going to spread out too. And God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you. Why is you important here? Because Adam is the last surviving member of the Adamic bloodline. Eve is the mother of all living because she comes descended from Adam, the beginning. And with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark, to every beast of the earth. Go out and fill it up. And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood. Neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. God says this is the one and only time that this is going to happen. You don't have to fear it. It's never going to happen again. There was a purpose for the flood. It was to destroy the Nephilim from off of the earth because they had taken over everything. They had infiltrated all bloodlines except for Noah's family. And God said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. That means until the end of time. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. This word bow means exactly what you think it means, a curved object. We interpret that to be the rainbow, but I'm not entirely sure that it is. But it makes sense. That is a bow-shaped object in the clouds when it rains, so it makes sense, although it doesn't actually say that. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. That means that there's no more abundance of water in the earth to come out, so that's not going to happen. And it's not going to rain for 40 days ever again. That's not going to happen. So God set it in motion at that time. The current jet stream that we use today to evaporate water and to fill the rain clouds and to rain back down, the system we have today set in motion after the flood. And it remains that way until this day. Can I get another cup of that coffee, please? And God said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth. And the sons of Noah that went forth of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And Ham is the father of Canaan. And these are the three sons of Noah, and of them was the whole earth overspread. So Ham went upwards into Africa, Shem went east into Eurasia, and Japheth went over the Caucasus Mountains, and Noah went home, back to Egypt. So they went out in all four cardinal directions, spreading seed and overthrowing the earth with their seed, overspreading the earth. And so did all the other people that were on the ark, I imagine, went in groups in every direction. And that's why people are the way they are in every part of the world. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers without. What does that mean? All right. There's a place later in the Bible. It's not in Genesis. It might be in Genesis, but I don't think it is. I think it's later, like in Isaiah or something, where it explains exactly what this phrase means. This is a Hebrewism. It's a figure of speech. You uncover your nakedness of your father. That means to sleep with his wife. That's what it means. I know that don't sound like that's what it means here, but I promise you that's what it means. And when we get to it, I'll point it out because it is a point of contention. I've argued many times. This is why Ham was cursed by Noah, because he slept with his dad's wife. That doesn't mean it's his mother, by the way. It could be, but it could be his stepmother. However you look at it. Ham went in and found his father drunk and took advantage of his father's wife. That's what happened. Anytime you see this phrase, the nakedness of someone's wife or daughter or husband, whatever, that's what it's talking about. Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it upon both their shoulders and went backwards and covered the nakedness of their father, their mother, or their stepmother. That's why they went in backwards. Let me ask you a question, just to clear it up. These guys lived together on an ark for a year, for over a year. You think they didn't see each other's butt every now and then? They grew up together. They're boys. They lived in the same tent. You think they'd never seen each other naked? Can you do that now? Live in the house you grew up in without seeing anybody naked? So I'm telling you, it means something else. And the reason they took such reverence, walked in backwards, shielding the view with a coat so that they could cover her without being seen or seeing her, is the reverence they felt for not seeing their mom naked or their stepmom naked. So there's that. Amy, hi. Welcome to the show. Shem and Japheth took a garment, laid it upon both their shoulders, and walked backwards, and covered the nakedness of their father, and their faces were backwards, and they saw not their father's nakedness. Notice how they keep using that phrase, father's nakedness. It's because they're talking about his wife. And Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done unto him. What did he do unto him? I thought he just saw him. No. What he did was break his trust and take advantage of his vulnerability and slept with his mother or his stepmother. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, because he's white. Sorry, Japheth went over the Caucasus Mountains. Anyway, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Shem, the maker of tents. They're all made in China. I'm just saying. It's right here in the Bible. I didn't write it. You're welcome. And Noah lived after the flood 350 years, and all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. And now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. And the sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tiras. This guy Magog, you need to pay attention to him. He's going to have a role to play in the end times. As will Tubal later on in life. And the sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, where you get the Ashkenazis Jews. They came from Gomer, Ashkenaz. There it is. So that's one of the original tribes from Noah. And Riphath and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan, Elisha, and Tarshish, and Kittim, and Dodanim. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their lands. The islands were filled with these guys. Every one after his tongue, after their families, in their nations. And of the sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. Ham is the father of Canaan, which is where they went later on when they were released out of Egypt. The Israelites went across the desert into Canaan and took that land over from Ham. Ham is cursed. His land was full of the Nephilim. It all plays. It all tracks. And the sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah. That's where that song comes from. Septa and Ramah and Septeka. And the sons of Ramah, Sheba and Dedan. And Cush begot Nimrod. Nimrod is a great king of Babylon. Also from the line of Ham. Imagine that. You mean Babylon came out of Ham? Yes, the cursed guy. Where all the evil comes from. So if you want to know where all the bad stuff comes from, it comes out of the bloodline of Ham. Nimrod, and he began to be mighty one on earth. He was a great hunter. Some people think it was Gilgamesh. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord, before it was said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. So he was a legend. He was legendary in his exploits. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, like Sargon of Akkad, that place, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Ashur, and builded Nineveh, and the city of Rehoboth, and Kala, and Rezin, between Nineveh and Kala. The same is a great city. So Nineveh and Kala are together one big city. Now, Nineveh is the place where Jonah went in the belly of the whale, where God told him to go save those people. They were evil, but they were saved by Jonah's teaching. Also from Ham. And Canaan begat Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgasite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite. These are peoples, groups of people. You can learn about the Hivites, or the Hittites, rather, which aren't the Hivites, but they're en route to them. They'll be, the Hittites are known, what we would call Israelites in the old days. A group of them would be called the Hittites. And there's a couple of other names that they've found recently in archaeology, but they all trace back to this time. And the Arvadite, and the Zemarite, and the Hamathite, and afterwards were the families of the Canaanites, spread abroad, not to be confused with the Kenites, which are descendants of Cain. Canaanites are descendants of Ham. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest to Gerar, unto Gaza. That's where all the wars fighting going on right now. And thou goest unto Sodom, and Gomorrah, and Admah, and Zeboim, even unto Lasha. Now, you know Sodom and Gomorrah, those are two great cities on the plain, out in near the mountain ranges, which have been located. They're also found. And a couple of these other cities have been found also. And these are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, and in their nations. Now unto Shem, he went that way. Also the father of all children of Eber. Remember Eber, he's the guy who comes the Hebrews from Eber. The brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born. And the children of Shem, Elam, Ashur, and Arphaxad, and Lud, and Aram. Arphaxad, poor kid, they named him that so that he could get beat up in school all through his childhood. Nobody could spell Arphaxad, not even him. Anyway, the children of Aram, Uz, Hul, and Gether, and Mash. And Arphaxad begat Selah, and Selah begat Eber. And unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg. For in his days the earth was divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Now, not only does Joktan not have a name to claim, Peleg is famous because the world split up in his days. Now, this is about 100 years after the flood. So what does that tell you? The land is still very much settling because of the flood, and the continents are shifting because during the flood, the continents broke up along all the fault lines and started spreading apart. Before this, all the continents were together in one place. What scientists would call, what's the word? It just left me. Where all the continents were in one place. I can't remember. Anyway, it split apart and all the continents went to where they are currently, and they're still moving to this day. They move about the length that your fingernail grows every year. Centimeters. They move very slowly, but they are moving. Anyway, in Peleg's day is when they physically separated. So they were aware of it. They saw it happening. It was probably traumatic. If you could imagine watching continents separate and being on one of them. And Joktan begat Almodad, and Sheleph, and Hazarmaveth, and Zerah, and Hadoram, and Uzal, and Diklah. Somebody named their child Diklah. And Obal, and Abimael, and Sheba, and Ophir, and Havilah. There's that Havilah again. She would go on to be a lawyer for Trump later on in years. And Hobab. All these were the sons of Joktan, Peleg's brother, the guy with no name. And their dwelling was from Mesha. As thou goest unto Shephar, a mount of the east. Now we don't, Pangea, thank you, Amanda. Pangea is what they called where all the continents came together into one continent. Science calls it that. I don't know what God called it. Earth, I guess. But in the days of Peleg, the continents became more like we know them today. And these are the sons of Shem after their families, after their tongues and their lands, after their nations. And these are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations in their nations. And by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. And the whole earth was of one tongue, one language, and of one speech. What does that mean? That means that everybody spoke one language. It was the original language. That's going to change, though, in Babylon, because people left to their own devices are quite dangerous. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, Go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. That's fired brick. It's stronger than mud brick. It holds more weight. You can build higher buildings. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. What does this mean? This is when all of the building started, the big structures. One in particular called the Tower of Babel. So this would be Nimrod's group of people. And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. It's almost like they knew that was coming. Almost like they knew the consequence for their actions before they did it, yet they did it anyway. You see what's happening here? These people know what they're doing. They are trying to overthrow God by showing themselves to be more powerful than God. Now, were they trying to build a city that reached into heaven, a tower? No, because the one thing we know for sure, we know two things for certain that science can prove and that we're pretty sure is reality. Number one, a brick, whether it is fired or not, can only withstand so much weight before it shatters. It's a brick. It is not steel. It's a brick. So if you do the math, with a mud brick, you can build about 4 stories, 5 stories before it starts breaking. With a fired brick, it is much stronger. It has hay in it. It has things in it to keep it more sturdy. And it is fired, so it's more solid. You can build up to about 15 stories, maybe 20, before they start shattering. Okay? That will make a building fall. It makes it unsafe. So we know those two things for sure. So the best bet would be to build a ziggurat, which is wide at the base and narrow at the top, like a pyramid. That is the best structure to build out of stone. And it's only going to go about 15 stories up before it starts breaking and falling over. There is no way to overcome that. There's nothing a human being can do to overcome the height versus weight ratio. You cannot get any higher, no matter what you do. So, we know that. That is scientifically evident. We also know that the higher you go up in the earth, the thinner the atmosphere gets. And at some point, you're going to run out of oxygen and succumb to radiation and cold. Cold first and then radiation as you go higher. So you will die. So we know that the tower is not reaching up into the clouds trying to reach heaven or outer space, because you can't do that. This is reality here. That's fantasy. You can't do that in reality. So if that's not the case, what is going on here? What are they doing in Babel? They said they wanted to reach the heavens. Yeah, there's more than one way to reach the heavens. Did you know you could reach the heavens with scent? Did you know that when you burn a sacrifice, God can smell it? So there's that. There's also the Stargate theory, that they were building some kind of device to allow them to traverse dimensions. I don't know. I don't know what they were doing, but I do know this. It was disturbing enough that out of all of the earth and all of the goings-on of earth, God said, I need to go down there and check out what they're doing. And he physically came to them in person to see what they were doing. I know that. So it was disturbing enough to get God to come here. And what he said about it was this: Jesus, man, if I let these people do what they're doing, if I don't stop them right now, there's nothing they can't do. There's nothing they can't achieve. And so he scattered them and broke their languages up where they couldn't communicate. That's a pretty impressive thing they were doing there, whatever it was. Now, obviously, there is no documentation about what the Tower of Babel consisted of. There's a few legends. There's a legend such as, if you were building the Tower of Babel and you dropped a brick, right, you would go back for the brick. You would go back down and get it. But if you were working on the tower and you dropped a person, you would just let them fall, because it's more valuable. The bricks are more valuable than the human lives because it takes so long to get up to the top. That's the legend. I don't know if it actually happened that way, but that's the legend. Anyway, whatever happened at the Tower of Babel was pretty impressive. I wish there was more written about it, and it may have been at one time. We did lose a lot in the Library of Alexandria, and we've lost a lot in other places that have gone up in smoke over the years. But we don't have it now. So let us build a tower that we may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the earth. So they knew what they were doing, and they knew what God would do about it. And then the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city, because they couldn't talk to each other anymore to plan it. Therefore, the name of it is called Babel. We call it Babel, but it's to speak in gibberish language. Because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. Now here's an interesting tidbit. From the location of the Tower of Babel, which is somewhere in modern-day Iraq, anywhere to the right of the Tower of Babel towards China, they write from right to left. But anywhere to the west of the Tower of Babel, America, they write from left to right, almost like the languages are pointing back to the Tower of Babel. They all do it on both directions. They write from right to left over here and from left to right over here. Interesting. all the languages over here look like chicken scratch, and all the languages over here look like typesets. I don't know why that's a thing, but it's a thing. It's very interesting. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did therefore confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begat Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. And Shem lived after he begat Arphaxad 500 years and begat sons and daughters. Arphaxad lived 35 years, and begat Selah. And Arphaxad lived after he begat Selah 403 years, and begat sons and daughters. Imagine how many sons and daughters you can begat in 500 years. It's a lot of babies, a lot of child support, a lot of wives. And Selah lived 30 years and begat Eber. Don't forget about Eber. He's who the Hebrews come from. And Selah lived after he begat Eber 403 years and begat sons and daughters. And Eber lived 430 years and begat Peleg. And Eber lived after he begat Peleg 430 years and begat sons and daughters. And Peleg lived 30 years and begat Reu. And Peleg lived after he begat Reu 209 years and begat sons and daughters. Why is all this important? Well, these are genealogies. More than that, they are a time stamp of the time. You can trace these lineages back. These people were meticulous records keepers. They kept records of everything, which is why we can be reasonably sure it's true. It's called a first document. It's a document we can count on. And Reu lived 230 years and begat Serug. And Reu lived after he begat Serug 207 years and begat sons and daughters. Serug lived 30 years and begat Nahor. And Serug lived after he begat Nahor 200 years and begat sons and daughters. Nahor lived 29 years and begat Terah. And Nahor lived after he begat Terah 119 years, begat sons and daughters. Terah lived 70 years and begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Abram? Yes. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran Haran begat Lot. Lot. Very interesting character there. So Abram and Lot, they're cousins. Just so you see how this works. Abram is the guy who's eventually going to be called Abraham. Lot is the guy at Sodom and Gomorrah who survives it being destroyed. And Haran died before his father Terah in the land of his nativity, in of the Chaldees. Now, Abram was also from of the Chaldees. The first portion of the Bible is written in Chaldean. The first portion of the Torah, rather, written in Chaldean, which is a dialect of Hebrew. Anyway, is where Mesopotamia is. If you look at the map, if you find Turkey, and then you find the, what's the name of that place with the T-shaped pillars in Turkey? My mind ain't working tonight. If you find Ararat Mountains, where Noah's Ark landed, and do a trace back to Egypt from that area, and before you turn to go down to Egypt, know that that's the spot where all the children split up. Ham went up. What? Göbekli Tepe. That's the place I was thinking of. Ham went up. Japheth went west. Shem went east. Noah went home. If you go down that direction, past Egypt, you'll come into Mesopotamia, Samaria, all of those places. Right? So physically, you can see where the people spread out over the earth and where they went and where these civilizations pop up at. You can see where they landed at and how that is the cradle of civilization, not Africa going over the fictitious land bridge that isn't there. You can see how it happened. All you got to do is look and read the story and look for the places. They're there. Abram and Nahor took wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, later to be called Sarah. The H in Abraham's and Sarah's names are the breath of God. It's a covenant God makes with them. That's why their names are different now. And the name of Nahor's wife, Milcah, the daughters of Haran. They were cousins. And the father of Milcah and the father of Ishka. But Sarai was barren and she had no child. She wouldn't have a child until she was 90-something years old. Terah took Abram his son, and Lot, the son of Haran, his son's son, and Sarai, his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from of the Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan, and they came unto Haran and dwelt there. In these days, the patriarch would name the land after himself. So Haran, the guy, named the village Haran after himself. And that's where they went and lived, in Haran, where the guy Haran lived. So don't let that confuse you. Now the Lord said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. Oh, the hero's journey right here. A little bit about Abraham. Abram was an indoor cat, very much an indoor cat. He's an incel. He lived in his mama's basement playing the Nintendo all day, whatever it is he did. He was a master debater on the internet. Anyway, he was not an outdoorsy kind of guy. He didn't do a lot. They were rich, so he just kind of went. His dad made furniture for Nimrod, so they just kind of lived, right? Until God calls him for the hero's journey. Go on a journey. Get away from your family. Go out into the wilderness, into the dangerous land out there, into the unknown. And I will show you where to go as you're going. Don't worry about where now. I'll make it up as we go along. But when you get there, you'll know. And you will be rewarded for the journey. This is every young man's dream in life, is to meet the hero's journey head on, to go out into the world and discover something new. He didn't start living until he left his mama's house and went out into the world. Him and his wife are getting on up there in age. They're not young chickens anymore. So he's actually kind of old when he leaves and goes out. But for whatever reason, God saw him and liked him. They made friends. Later on in the Bible, it'll talk about him hanging out with God. They hung out together. They were buddies. Now, up until this time, it's important for you to understand that the world at large have forgotten about God. God isn't a thing. There are other gods at play in the world right now. One of the things that Tehran was Abram's father. He made furniture and he made idols for the king of Babylon, Nimrod. So he made false deities for other people to worship. That was his specialty. Now, God picked an idolater. Isn't one of the first commandments not to do that? Yeah. But that's the world we live in. God has not been active in this world for quite some time. Since the flood, since the Garden of Eden, people have largely forgotten about God, right? So he picks Abraham to start over. He's going to build a religion out of Abraham and his offspring, and they're going to take over the world. This is the promise. They're going to overshadow the people that are already here. Now, you want to call them, I don't know, Cro-Magnon or Australopithecus or whatever versions of people that science likes to say is out there, but nobody ever has any evidence of. You want to say that? Fine. I'm not going to argue with you on that. But Abraham and his seed inherit the earth, and all the other people are overshadowed by that group of people. So you could say that's why there's so many white people on the earth. You could look at it like that. I don't know. I don't know the answer. What I do know is that Abraham was picked by God to build this religion that we now call Christianity out of. Started with Abraham, not with anybody before Abraham. That's an important distinction to make out. There are lots of people in the world at this point. They are not godly people. They have forgotten about God. Abraham is a new thing that God is doing. This is when he inserts himself. This is when he becomes Yahweh, your Lord God. Not just God, but your Lord God, the leader of men. Right here. So it's important to understand this development. I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing, and I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed, because you're related to him. That's how all families of the earth will be blessed, because you belong to that bloodline in some fashion. They overshadowed the earth. Much like Genghis Khan, who's probably related directly to Noah, 1 in 3 people are related to Genghis Khan on the whole planet. That guy was a prolific slinger of penis. Believe that. He had to hire other people to help him sling penis. That's how much he was doing. It was interesting, to say the least. He tried to repopulate the earth by himself. That's what I'm saying. And he came close to doing it. So Abram departed as the Lord, notice this all capital Lord here, had spoken unto him. And Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. So he waited till he was a little older to go on the hero's journey. Probably thinking, dude, I'm 75 years old. How are you going to build a nation out of me? I'll be surprised if I spit 2 kids out. Well, it ain't how many you do. It's how many you do that do so many. Anyway, it's a numbers game, Abram. You just got to play the game. Abram took his wife Sarah and Lot, his brother's son, or his cousin, and their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, or in other words, the people to tend the sheep and carry all the stuff, servants. And they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came. Boy, did he. All over the place. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the plain of Moreh. And the Canaanite was then in the land. I guess in the land of Canaan. He is a Canaanite. He went to Canaan. Shocking. And the Lord appeared unto Abram and said, unto thy seed will I give this land. Look at all of this, Canaan. This will be your offspring's land. And that prophecy is fulfilled later on when the Israelites go into Canaan and reclaim it. The Israelites are direct descendants of Abraham. So that prophecy is one of the 234 times that the Bible tells the future accurately. Right here. There builded he an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him. So he built an altar and he sacrificed to God right there in Canaan, claiming it to be his. And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel and pitched his tent. This word Bethel means house of God. That's what the word Bethel means. Having Bethel on the west and Hai on the east. And there he builded an altar unto the Lord and called upon the name of the Lord. That's YHVH right there, all capital letters. Anytime you see all capital letters, the word Lord, that's what it's translated to, YHVH. That's Yahweh or Almighty God himself. There are other times Lord is used that is not talking about God himself, maybe a representative of God, maybe God in the third person, but not himself. He's talking directly to God. And Abram journeyed, going on still towards the south. I knew Abraham was southern. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to sojourn there, or to live there for a while. For the famine was grievous in the land, and it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarai his wife, Behold now, I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Behold, woman, I know you're hot. But I'm going to pull some stuff here in Egypt, and I'm going to need you to play along, okay? So whatever I say, you agree with it. Therefore it shall come to pass when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, This is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save you alive. Abraham's looking ahead. These are rough people, Sarah. So when we go down there, if they come across us, they're going to say, Hey, look, there's this old dude and his wife, and she's pretty hot. Let's kill him and take his wife. That's the kind of people they are, or he thinks that they are. And to which she replies, Yeah, and look, all I'm saying is, if we go down there, they're going to see me and see you and go, He's a 4, she's a 9, this math ain't mathin', let's kill him and take her. So, say you're my sister. What? Say you're my sister. That's gross, Abram. I know. Just say it. Why would I call myself your sister? Because you are my sister, kinda. It's true that we have the same dad, but we have different mothers. I am your half-sister. That's legal in old-time Earth. I know, but just tell them you're my sister. I won't be lying if you tell them you're my sister. Yeah, but I'm also your wife. Just leave that out, woman. God. You don't have to lie, just omit half of the truth. Listen, if you do this, we'll make a lot of money. Okay, I tell you what. Whatever your harebrained idea is, I'll go along with it. You're the big Jew. You know everything. Thank you. Now, can we go make some money? Yes. All right. But I'm driving. I'm a sugar. Say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. Little schmarmy, Abram. Yes, but it worked. And it came to pass that when Abram was come into Egypt, that the Egyptians beheld the woman, that she was very fair. Apparently Sarai was hot. And the princes also of Pharaoh saw her and commended her before Pharaoh. In other words, hey, you got to come see my dad. He's the Pharaoh. He's got all the gold. Come on, check him out. And the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house, and he entreated Abram well for her sake. He paid Abram to take his wife, who was claiming to be his sister. They paid him with sheep and oxen and asses and men servants and maid servants and she asses and camels, meaning he can breed them and make more asses. That's like paying somebody with $1 that's pregnant and it makes more dollars while you have it, right? And Pharaoh called Abram and said, "What is this that thou hast done to me?" No, I'm sorry, I skipped one. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because Sarah is Abraham's wife. So basically the Pharaoh finds out they took Sarah into a harem where there's a bunch of other girls waiting for the Pharaoh to pick a wife. So she basically became a contestant on the Pharaoh's right as soon as she entered into Egypt and was hot. So they got her. Pharaoh comes in and he starts getting plagued, and he knows what that means, by the way. This is not unheard of news to Pharaoh. He understands that he's being plagued because he's done something to offend a higher power. I don't know how he knows that, but he understands because he comes to Abram and says, "What have you done to me? What did you bring into my world? Why have you done this to me? You've deceived me. You said she was your sister." Well, she kind of is his sister. He didn't lie. She is related to him. But she's also his wife, and that's wrong in the eyes of God. Now, Pharaoh is not a believer in God, but he recognizes power when he sees it. Okay. He sees the plagues. So he doesn't really want to piss off this other God thing that he understands is a thing. Pharaoh called Abram and said, "What is this that thou hast done unto me? Why didst thou not tell me she was thy wife? Why saidst thou she is my sister, so I might have taken her to me as a wife?" Pharaoh did not sleep with Sarah, but he came very close to it. And that's what he's saying. I might have banged her, dude. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Immediately you can have a little respect for Pharaoh because he does not want to take another man's wife. He could. He's the Pharaoh. There's nothing stopping him, but he's a man of honor. And he's like, dude, I almost banged her. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Do you know what that would do to me? If I slept with another man's wife? That would make your God kill me. Are you trying to kill me? Abel was like, no, I just don't want to die myself. Well, we're in agreement. So, I tell you what. Bygones be bygones, but get the hell out of here. Let me pay you to get you. Let me buy back my introduction from you. Why did you say she's my sister? So I might have taken her to wife. Now, therefore, behold thy wife. Take her and go thy way. Here's your wife, dude. Get her out of my harem. And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him that they sent him away and his wife and all that he had. Abraham escaped with all of the stuff that Pharaoh gave him out of there. So he earned riches by this excursion basically for free. Smart move. And Abram went up out of Egypt and his wife and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle and in silver and in gold. Why? Because of this little thing that happened in Egypt. Pharaoh paid him handsomely for a woman that turned out to be his wife, and Pharaoh made him leave, and he took all his stuff with him. So he got the gold and the woman and split. You could say that was smart, 4D chess. Or it might just been lucky, and he was just being smarmy, I don't know. The Bible does not condone this behavior, but it does report it. It did happen. So he went on his journey from the south even to Bethel, the house of God, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai. So he came back to where he started from. Unto the place of the altar which he had make there at the first. And there Abram called unto the name of the Lord. So he's back at the altar, back praying to God. And Lot also, which went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. So whatever he got up to in Egypt, he made some money too. And the land was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so they could not dwell together. In other words, all of their cattle and stuff were mingling. They couldn't keep them separate, so they had to move apart. There wasn't enough grazing land for all of them to be in one place. And there was a strife between herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle, undoubtedly trying to keep them separate. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled in that land. So they had to separate. And Abram said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdsmen and thy herdsmen, for we are brethren. We're cousins, but whatever. We're brothers in travels. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt, take the left hand, then I will go to the right. Or if thou depart to the right hand, I will go to the left. It doesn't matter. You take your lane, I'll take mine. We don't have to fight over this, which is wise. Lot lifted up his eyes and beheld all the plain of Jordan, and it was well watered everywhere before the Lord. Destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, even as the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou comest unto Zoar. Yeah. Then Lot chose him all the plain of Jordan, and Lot journeyed east. And they separated themselves, the one from the other. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan. Lot dwelled in the cities of the plain, and pitched his tent toward Sodom. Probably not a good move in the long run, but he didn't know that then. But the men of Sodom were wicked and sinners before the Lord exceedingly. Sodom is not a good place. I mean, look at the name of the city. That's where we get the word sodomite from Sodom. So you can imagine what they did there, and lots of it. And the Lord said unto Abram, after that Lot was separated from him, Lift up now thine eyes, and look from the place where thou art northward, and southward, and eastward, and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. That's pretty good deal, God. Except for one thing. What? I just told Lot that he could take the whole left side. That's all Jordan. So you're going to give it to me anyway? Yeah. Well, so much for Lot, I guess. Oh, don't worry. Wait till you see what we do to his city. Anyway. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. In other words, you're not going to be able to count them. There's that many of them. Too many people under God. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee. Go check out your land. This is all yours. Go get familiar with it. And then Abram removed his tent and came and dwelt in the plain of Mamre, which is in Hebron, and built there an altar unto the Lord. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Aroik, king of Elazar, and Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations. This word is Chedorlaomer. but I can't pronounce it because I have southern lips. So I'm going to say 𝕊𝕬𝕬𝕪. King of nations, title King of nations, that these made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, and Shemmeber, king of Zeboam, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. So basically, there's a big civil war going on amongst these different cities. All these were joined together in the Vale of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea. That's a clue. We know where the Salt Sea is, which is now a desert pretty much except for the Red Sea. But if you know geography and you can follow the ancient waterland where it once was full of water, you can find Sodom and Gomorrah and all these other cities in that region because we know where it's at. It's in the region of the Red Sea. The Dead Sea, not the Red Sea, the Dead Sea is almost so full of salt that you can walk on it almost. You can definitely float on it for sure on top, not sink in the water because it is so full of salt. It's lost its wateriness. It's buoyant. It's very interesting, that water. "12 years they served 𝕊𝕬𝕬𝕪, and in the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year came 𝕊𝕬𝕬𝕪 and the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaims and Ashtaroth Karnaim." Now, before we go any further, the word Rephaim means the dead ones. Rephaim and Nephilim are the same thing. These are fallen angels, right? The dead ones, the fallen angels. I think it means the ones that were already cursed, the ones that were cast out into the abyss and escaped. I think that's who they are. I'm not sure. But the word Rapha means dead, the dead ones. The word Napha means fallen ones. So you got the Nephilim and the Rephaim. And Ashtaroth is a place, but it's also a deity. They believed in a god named Ashtaroth in those days. This is Ashtaroth Karnaim, which is a place named after that god, just so you know. And the Zuzims in Ham, and the Emins in Shavia. Now those Emins are still there. We call them imams. Same thing. In Shavah, Kiriathaim. That's a hard word to say. And the Horites, they were women of the night all over the streets. The Horites in their Mount Seir unto El Paran. That's God's Paran. I don't know what Paran means. I'm guessing plain or valley, something like that. God's plain or God's valley, El Paran, which is by the wilderness. And they returned and came to En-Mishpat, which is Kadesh. Kadesh is a very important city. It's going to be used a lot later on in the Bible. So if you got your maps, look it up. Kadesh is right there in the middle. And smote all the country and the Amalekites. Also one of the tribes of the fallen ones. And also the Amorites. Amalekite, Amorite, fallen ones, both of them. That dwelt in Hazezon-Tamar. That place. There went out king of Sodom and the king of Gomorrah, and the king of Admah, and the king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, the same as Zoar. And they joined battle with them in the vale or the valley of Siddim, which is where these cities are surrounding that valley. They go down both sides of the valley. With Chedorlaomer, the king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Aroik, king of Elasar. 4 kings with 5. It's a big battle going on. And the vale of Siddim, or the valley of Siddim, was full of slime pits. What is a slime pit? It's a pit full of slime. Obvious. It's where they make mortar, and they put slime in place of mortar. They didn't have quicklime and sand and all that back then like we do now. So they had slime and hay, and then mix it together, and it would dry into a paste, and you could put bricks together with it. So they had pits that they would make the slime in. That's where they did that at. And the king of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, the kings, and they fell there where the slime pits are. Probably because they tripped and fell into it. No, they were killed there. And they that remained fled to the mountain. This mountain is the same place Lot is going to flee to when Gomorrah gets destroyed. Sodom. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their victuals or things to eat and drink and went their way. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods and departed. So now, for a brief period, Lot is a slave. And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew. Abram is a Hebrew. For he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, and brother of Ener. And these were confederate with Abraham. So they're not actually in the war. They're trying to kind of avoid it, but it's happening all around them. Well, now Abram gets word that his cousin, brother, has been held captive by one of these kings and all that he owns. So it's only incumbent upon Abraham to go save him because there ain't nobody else there to save him. They're alone out here in the world. And when Abraham heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed his trained servants born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. Dan is a city. He went kind of Rambo, kind of armed his men up and said, let's go, charge the knights, and let's go get our cousin brother back. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants, 318 servants to be exact. That's a lot of servants with arms and legs. I don't know what they were fighting with. They might have just been armed with legs. I don't know. But there they went after him, and so he divided them up. Armed with legs, by night. Good thing they had eyes. And he smote them and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. Damascus is where Paul lived and got his vision on the road to Damascus to follow Christ. Anyway, all of this is happening in that part of the world. And he brought back all the goods also, and brought again his brother Lot and his goods and the women also. That's really why he went for the women and the people. So how many people did Lot have with him? A bunch, I would imagine. He had 318 servants himself. And the king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer, and the kings that were with him in the valley of Sheva, that's a very clean-cut deity, which is Kingsdale. It's a boulevard. You'll get used to it. That's where the movie theater is. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. This is one of the only times this name will be mentioned in the Bible, and I want you to pay note to it because Abraham tithed to this man. Abraham was a friend of God. He didn't have to tithe to anybody. If he did, it's because he believed in who he was. Now, the word Melchizedek, if broken down, is two words, Mecca and Zadok. Put those two together, you get Melchizedek. Okay, what does that mean? King and peace. Leader and refuge. Who else has that title? King and Lord. Or King of Kings, Lord of Lords. Who has that title? Well, Jesus has that title. But who is Melchizedek? Nobody knows. It's the only time it mentions him. One other time I think it mentions him. But he was important enough to tithe to, 10%. And Abraham went to him. So he's somebody important. He is a high priest of the Most High. That's God. That's our God. It's also interesting that this is one of the first times it uses this phrase, Most High God, in this portion of the book. There's another king that uses that phrase, Most High. And that would be Xingji of the first dynasty of China. The God they worship was also the Most High God, our God, because the first dynasty of China was Shem's children, and they still believed in God, which is why the ancient Chinese language has the story of the creation and the Garden of Eden and all that up to the flood written into the language. And then they got into the pantheon of gods later on. The first Chinese people believed in God, just like everybody else that came from them did. So Melchizedek could be from Shem's line, I don't know. But he's a very interesting character. So Melchizedek blessed him and said, Blessed be Abraham of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all. Abraham did. So this Melchizedek is a strange person and a bone of much contention amongst scholars as to who and why. And the king of Sodom said unto Abraham, Give me the persons, and take the goods to thyself. And Abraham said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth, that I will not take from a thread, even to a shoelace, that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich. I'm not taking anything from you so you don't go gossiping that you're the guy that lifted me up. No, I fought this battle and I won it, and you don't get any part of that praise. That's mine. Save only that which the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men which went with me, Ener and Eshcol and Mamre, let them take their portion. So you can pay them. You're not paying me. I'm Abram. I'm my own dude. I'm doing the Rambo thing, and you're not edging in on it. You don't get to be the hero this time. It's my job. After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram. I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. Don't worry, Abram. You'll get paid. I'm going to take care of you. You don't need this king of Sodom. You know what he gets up to after dark? Anyway, after these things, I read that one. And Abram said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eliezer of Damascus? And Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. In other words, I don't have an heir anybody to leave all of this to. In other words, he's kind of nudging God, because remember when we first met, you said you'd make me the father of many nations? I don't have any kids yet. I'm just saying, it's been a while. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, this shall not be thine heir. You're not going to give all to this guy's kid. But he that shall come forth out of thine own bowels shall be thine heir. To which Abraham said, dude, I'm old. I can't even get it up anymore. What makes you think I'm going to have a child that came out of my bowels? God says, I'm God. Have you met me? I make things rise. Don't worry. Have you heard of Viagra? Anyway. And he brought him forth abroad and said, look now towards heaven and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be. Look at the stars. Can you count how many stars there are? Abraham says, no, God, there's a bunch of them. I get lost after 37. God says, yeah, that's how your seed is going to be. Abraham's like, yeah, right. For real. You just wait and see. And he believed in the Lord, and he counted it to him for righteousness. See, Abraham was not especially a good man, but he was a believer in God. He trusted God's word, and God counted that as righteousness. This is very important for you to hear, because you might not be a particularly good man. But if you trust God, God will put that on you as righteousness. If you do what God tells you to do, he will put that on you as righteousness and count it as such. You don't have to be specifically righteous to be viewed as righteous in the eyes of God. You just have to trust him and have faith. That's the important part. That's the part he's looking for. And coincidentally, the part we're going to stop on tonight. And because I want you to sit with that a while. I want you to think about God turning your belief in him into righteousness. Because everybody ain't perfect. Everybody has bones in their closet and things they wish they hadn't done and might feel like they're not worthy to bow towards God. But I assure you, you are. And he takes all kinds. It doesn't matter what you've done. It's never too late to show obeisance to God. He loves you. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldees to give thee this land to inherit it. That's where we're going to stop so that we can start on Abraham talking to God in tomorrow's lesson. Man, what an intense read that was tonight. I hope that that touches your heart. I hope that it inquisits your mind. I hope that it causes you to think about all the things in the world that you could be doing with your life, that you should be doing with your life, that you have already done with your life. And I hope most of all that it causes you to reach out with both hands to Almighty God, your Father, and ask him to be a part of your life. Ask him to come in and fix what's ailing you. Ask him to show you your ways, show you the right way to go, show you the right thing to do, the right thing to say, the right thing to care about. You think about that. You talk to your Father in private. Don't make a big deal out of it. Just talk to him. That's what he wants anyway. See what he tells you. I promise you, he'll change your life. Now, while you're thinking about that, please do me a favor if you would. Take a moment and hit that subscribe button and press the bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be online. Smash that like button. It's free. It's effortless. It's right in front of you, and it really does help the channel with the algorithm. Helps us get recommended to other people. Won't you do that, please? Share this video with somebody you know. Better yet, share it with somebody you love. Bring them into the family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform me, drink my Kool-Aid. Make your own Kool-Aid. As long as you're thinking critical, that's what I want. Critical thought coming from that brain of yours. And hey, If you love the Word of God and you can see the value in what I'm trying to build here, and you'd like to help me do that, buy yourself a t-shirt, get a J-tag, join the team, come on in and be part of the family, help us make this thing grow. But if you feel led to send your tithes, offerings, and love offerings to this humble ministry, you can do that by going to paypal.me/jakejohnsonband, or if you're a Cash App user, $jakejohnsonband. Every little bit helps. It is a win-win. It is a blessing to me, but it's a blessing to you too. How do I know? Because God notices these things when you help His, when you are part of His job, when you interact with His plan. He pays attention. So it is a blessing for you. Now I'm going to do everything in my power to be worthy of your support. I will answer all of your questions and comments as I always do right now. Okay. Right off the bat, we have unclean food in Leviticus 21. All right. Anything that touches anything that's dead is unclean. Anything that contains parasites is dead. Any animal that is a bottom feeder or a scavenger is unclean by the merits because it eats dead things and it taints the meat. So unclean food is scavengers. Don't eat scavengers. That means seafood and pig and chicken and anything that scavenge, you shouldn't eat that. It's not a sin unto death, but I assure you, you're going to have heart disease and diabetes and cancers and all plethora of things wrong with your guts because you eat those things. So, it's not a salvation issue, but God did say don't do it for a reason. It's bad for you. If you're going to do it anyway, be aware that you're going to have consequences for those actions. If you can manage to not do it, not eat unclean things, you'll be a lot healthier and a lot stronger and live a lot longer. That's just them breaks. That's the way it is. And I hope that helps. Amanda says, "Hi, Alfred. Q&A is after the read. Join us and like and subscribe, please. Amen. And welcome to the show, Alfred Hensel." Amy says, "Hello. Hey, Amy. How are you? Nice to see you." La-da-da-da-da-da. Celebrating 5 months as a member on this day. Thank you very much for everything you do. Much love, says Amy. Thank you. I don't really know if that happened tonight or before, but I'm seeing it for the first time now, so congratulations on 5 months. Linda says, "Hamburger helper hand, Amy." Amanda says, "Amy, hamburger helper hand." Amy says, "Hamburger helper hand cookie." And Banhammer hamburger helper hand. Banhammer hamburger helper hand is almost as bad as Amber hamburger helper hand. Amy says, "Hi, Jake." Hi, Amy. AD33, AD 2033 says hi. Hello, AD. Nice to see you. Welcome back. Long time no see. Hit that subscribe button and get that color changed there. Amanda says, "AD, hamburger brand, and Pangea is together." Right, that's when all the continents were together. Thank you. Kevin says, "Hamburger brand, Amy." Amy says, "St. Bernard, hamburger brand." Judy's here. Hi, Judy. She says, "Hey, everybody. Sorry I'm late, but I had to watch the TPUSA halftime show." Well, we're going to watch that after this show, so. But thank you for being here. Amanda says, "Judy, hamburger brand." Aaron's here. Aaron feels really bad today, so everybody say a prayer for Aaron's speedy recovery and anybody else that feels bad. Aaron, what's up, buddy? He says, "Hi, Judy. Are you feeling any better at all?" I hope so. Amy says, "Aaron, kissy face and hamburger brand." Amanda says, "Aaron, hamburger brand." And hello. Sorry, chat jumped. Got it. Amanda says, Aaron, hey. Amy says, Judy, hamburger upper hand. And Aaron says, wavy hand. Judy says, hey, Amanda and Jake. Hi, Judy. Hey, Aaron, and hey, Amy. Amy says, if I find turkey, I also want to find the city of gravy, right? Amen. Judy says, LOL, Amy. Vic's here. Hey, Vic. He says, evening, folks. Jake, how are you doing, sir? I'm fantastic. How are you doing? Nice to see you. I got a nice hot cup of coffee and a cigarette, and I'm happy as a pig in slop. Judy says, LOL, Amy. I read that one. Amanda says, Vic, hamburger upper hand. Amy says, Vic, hamburger upper hand. Judy says, hi, Judy and Vic. Linda says, hi, Judy and Vic. Judy says, hey, Victor. And Judy says, hey, Linda. Amy says, Sodom, modern day San Francisco. Probably, yeah. Or one of those cities. East Hollywood, something like that. East LA, is it West LA? One of those places where all the particular type of people congregate. I think it's West. Yeah. And Judy says, amen, Amy. Amber says, good evening, friends. Prayers and hearts. Sorry I'm late. Hamburger upper hand and surprised hearts. Amber, how you doing, sweetheart? Nice to see you. Amanda says, yeah. And Judy says, hey, Amber. And Linda says, Amber, yeah. Amy says, GG, live long and prosper. And Lot had a lot. Yes, he did. He had quite a lot. Which made it hard for him to leave quickly when it was time to go. He dropped his wife. He got everything else, though. I'm wondering if that was on purpose. Amanda says, great read, Jake. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you. Amy says, member for 5 months. Thank you, Amy. Amy says, thank you for everything you do. Much love. Thank you for everything you do. Much love. You are an integral asset to this team. So thank you for you being you. Amber says, Jake, that's the mustard seed I hold on to. I'm far from a perfect lady, yet I hold faith and love for purpose to live. Prayers and smiley faces and hearts. Amber, I assure you that God pays attention to that very virtue. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to strive to be perfect. That's all. And if you love and if you have faith, God will count that to you as righteousness, which is the commodity he trades in. And Linda says, thanks, Jake Hart. My pleasure, Linda. Appreciate you. Bill Bennett says, great read, Jake. Thanks. Love y'all. Bill, I love you too, buddy. Thank you for being here. Amanda says, woohoo, thanks, Amy. And Bill, hamburger upper hand. Amy says, Bill, hamburger upper hand. And Amber says, I'm glad I was able to sit with y'all for what I got to see. Well, there is a rewind button. You can go back and see the whole thing. It's been a rather slow night tonight, but it's Super Bowl Sunday, so I didn't expect much, but more than I thought was going to be here. And Amy says shrimp equals a bottom feeder. Yes, shrimp. Any kind of seafood is bad for you. Any kind of shellfish, here's the rule. If it has split hooves and chews the cud, you can eat it. If it has fins and scales, you can eat it. That's it. Amber says, hey, Bill, Miss Hammer, Linda, Amy. Judy says, hey, Bill. Barbaria Maranatha. Barbaria Maranatha Believer says, I'm a subscriber now. Thank you for subscribing, Barbaria. Barbaria, however you say that. Barbaria Maranatha. Do you know what Maranatha means? Are you anathema or a Maranatha? Either way, I like the name. April Rain's here. She says, hi, everyone. So sorry I'm late. Just dropped off my grandson. I'll have to rewatch Bible study, but love you all. How is everybody doing? Fantastic, April. How are you? Amy says, thanks for subscribing, Barbara. Barbara, bye-bye. Bye, Barbara, biggie, never mind. I'm old. Amanda says, April, hamburger helper hand. Judy says, hey, April. Amy says, April, hamburger helper hand. And Amber says, April, hamburger helper hand. And green team prayers. Hearts and smiley faces. April says, hi, y'all. Congratulations, Amy Lovely. Woohoo. April says, LOL, I just noticed we have a blue shield for moderating. Yeah, they took the wrench away. I don't know why. Probably because it's aggressive. It's probably because it's a microaggression. April says, hello to all the fam here. Much love and hugs. God bless us all. Prayers to Aaron. Amen. He needs them right now. Montana, what's up, brother? Nice to see you. Long time no see. He says, trapped in a transporter beam. Signal deflecting. We'll try again. Damn it, Scotty. Get that transporter beam online. We need Montana here. Go into the pattern buffer and find his pattern from when he was, the last guy I can't remember the name of. MVTV. And bring him back as MVTV. You can do that, right? I'm giving her all she's got, Captain. We're working on it, Montana. Come on in. Amanda says, Montana, hamburger helper hand. How you been, buddy? You been doing all right? You surviving the winter? Amy says, hey, Montana, how are you? It's been a while. Amber says, good evening, Montana's guys. April says, LOL, MVTV. Linda says, hi, April. Debbie says, God warned Lot to take his wife and flee out of the city. So what happened to his flee? Old joke, right? Well, he kept the flea. He left the wife in a pot of salt. Judy says, hey, Montana. April says, Linda, how are you? Good to see you. Hugs and love. Amber says, Judy. Prayers and smiley faces. Amy says, Debbie, LOL, and hamburger brand. Hi, Debbie. How are you? Good to see you. Linda says, doing pretty good, April. How are things going for you? Amber says, Montana, when I read your name, the song is in my head, in my mind. I think of Fire and Rain. I don't know why. April says, hi, Debbie, Judy, Amber, Bill, hugs, love, in. Hugs, in, love. April says, aha, Jake. I try to make it funny. Amy says, it's not just on this channel. The wrench changed to a shield on other channels, too. Yeah, I would imagine it did if YouTube did it. I didn't do it. Amber says, I think that's the first time I called you April. Felt weird. Eyes. Much better. Is that what you mean when you say eyes? You're talking about April? April says, yep, I noticed that. Amber says, do you prefer I call you April? Pinky promise I will try to do better. Or I will try to remember. Amy says, have we got to the part about Lot's daughter yet? Not yet. That'll be next read. Or the one after. I think the next one, maybe the one after. I'm going to break that down real slow because people have a lot of trouble with that one. But there is a logical reason why that occurred. Once again, I'd like to point out that just because the Bible reports it does not mean that it condones it. It is just saying that it happened. The Bible is recording history. It's not necessarily saying that's what God wanted, and it's not saying that that's the way it should be. It's just what happened. April says, Amber, LOL. No reason to feel weird, haha. And good to see you, Amber. Hugs and love. Yeah, you can call her anything but late for dinner. I'm sure she'll respond. Amber says, well, I just really wanted to say pinky promise a bunch. Honestly, it felt weird. Well, Amber, you can say pinky promise all you want. It's fine. But her name's April. She grew up with it. But you can call her whatever you like. As long as it ain't derogatory. And that goes for you too. And with all the ladies. Somebody starts talking bad about my ladies, I'm going to start kicking people out. Other than that, it's all good. You can say anything you want to me. I can take it. I'm a big boy. But you talk about my ladies and you've had it. I have zero tolerance for that. I know none of you are actually my ladies except for one of you. But I feel like you are. I feel a sense of ownership and protection. And I won't let that stand. So there's that. Inevitably, there'll be some feminist out there. I don't need your protection. Well, you didn't ask for it. I gave it unwillingly. So you can say I forced it on you. And maintain your femininity, whatever it is you want to do. This is my flock, and I'll protect it. April says, smiley, smiley, smiley. You get it. You know what I'm saying. Linda says, heart, heart, heart. Right back at you, sweetie. Amy says, correction. Someone starts talking bad about Jake, and they won't survive the banhammer. That is possible. Amanda says, I want and need a man. Thank you, thank you. I would hope you all do. Amy says she's protective about her husband. Likewise, I don't like that mess. I hear that there's somebody in need of a kicking here recently. And believe me, if the opportunity arises, the kicking will commence. Otherwise, I won't say nothing about it. But somebody knows what I'm talking about. April says, LOL, I understand. And Amanda says, that's right, Amy. It's nice to know that somebody stand up and fight over you. That's when you know you have value in their eyes. If they won't fight for you, what good are you to them? It's not a good feeling. Vic says, kicking? Who we kicking? Now, just somebody talking trash that don't need. I got a shovel and a gun, says Vic, right? And you are a got my back kind of guy. I know that. You and Aaron both. This is one of those gossipy things. Just needs a good smacking down. It'll happen when it happens. Vic says, yes, sir. I'm the same way, Vic. I got your back, too. I don't think they make us anymore. The world's gone crazy. That's why we need to stick together, because they don't make us anymore. The world's gone crazy. We need to be in one place. Amber says, well, last night I showed my ass with banana, and I'm still speaking freely tonight. So, yay, me. I'm not it. Well, that was probably a little necessary, Amber, and you did right by what you did, so I didn't see any problem with it. April says, hi, Vic. Lovely. Good to see you. Hugs and love. And Linda says, we need more men like you, Jake. Oh, thank you. I'm not even a good man, let alone a great one, but I appreciate that. And we need more women like you, too. Vic says, thank you, ma'am. You too. It's been an interesting couple of days. Amy says, appreciate the reading and the company. I'm going back to bed. I'm not feeling well at all. And there's something going around. Love you. Well, I hope you get to feeling better, Amy. We'll be praying for you. You and Aaron both have got the blues tonight. I hope y'all get better. You're feeling better real soon. Take care of yourselves. Drink lots of fluid and stay turning over. Don't get pneumonia. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Amber says, I have medical clearance 13. Can't hold me accountable, so I'm down for the ride. I'll be your huckleberry. I hear you, Amber. Amanda says, good night, Amy. And Judy says, good night, Amy. Amber says, sweet dreams, Amy. Get some rest. All right. Like, subscribe, share, support, join, and super chat if you can. All the other things. That stuff. And I'm going to go to bed because I got to get up and go to work in the morning. In the cold on a motorcycle. And Linda says, good night, Amy. Feel better, hon. Or feel better, which I assume she meant hun. Amanda says, nighters all. See you tomorrow night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Untethered Live for a Bible study. Much love, y'all. April says, sweet dreams, Amy. Get better, love, heart. And Linda says, kissy face. Amber says, hugs, y'all. Have a wonderful night. And I'm going to watch that TPUSA Super Bowl halftime and go to bed. See what the country says about what's going on with the football. I hope it's good news. Linda says, good night. Love you all. Linda, I love you too, sweetheart. Thank you for being here, Vic. Take care of yourself and those ladies and tell them we said hello. Aaron, if you're still awake, get some rest, buddy. Drink lots of fluid. Don't forget that part. It's important. And Amy, you too. Take care. I love you all. Have a great night. God bless each and every one of you. See you tomorrow night. Thanks for watching.